Morning and welcome to Gardening 365 40 40. Gardening 365 40. Hope you enjoyed the video. The first one is that you'll probably hear the rain. It's rain in the background going on, so I apologise for any background noise. I was asked a question by one of our long-term members, Anthony Deegan, about greenhouse heating. This is a setup that I use. So I've got a 47 kilo propane gas bottle and a gas fire that's bespoke for greenhouses. Now the setup cost is you will need to obtain a 47 kilo bottle and then get it filled, and they cost around £75 to fill, so it's not a cheap source of heating at all. Now lighting it is absolutely no problem at all once you know how, and as you see it's got all of those burners running at the bottom, so running it like that is really quite expensive and the bottle won't last long. But when it gets to heat, what will happen is, and then the main burner's just cut off and it just runs on the pilot light, and that would be the only source of heating in here unless it goes below the thermostat temperature and then all of the big burners cut back in. I've had the heater on just purely for demo today because, I'll show you why, the overnight temperature, the minimum was 7.7, and that doesn't really require any heating in here whatsoever. So what I do is watch the weather forecast quite regular, watch my thermometer, and if it's going to be above 5, let's say, I won't bother putting any heating on. So watch the weather forecasts and listen out for frost. That's the time when you need your heating on. But the last couple of weeks when we had real minus temperatures, it was just too much to run the heater all of the time. It would have cost a fortune. So I did run it some of the time, but not all of the time. And the reason why we've got such a big heating setup is the greenhouse is pretty big. I think it's about 25 foot long at the moment, and there's another end piece to put on there as well. So it's a large greenhouse to heat. So what you can do is section it off, so just heat a section. So that's possibly what we'll do next year. First job of the day, I've got some early tomatoes that I grew from seeds. They're looking a little bit leggy, so what I'm going to do is repot them and just sit them a little bit deeper in the pot, and that'll hopefully take some of the legginess away from them and it'll make them stronger. We'll see how it goes though. I did double plant some of them because if one grows, that's okay. If they both grow, they'll need splitting, so I'm going to split them down as well now. Now for anybody that's got some young tomatoes going, these are known as the first leaves, these little regular shaped leaves, and you should never repot a tomato until it's developed these secondary leaves on it. And what will happen at some point in the very near future, the primary leaves or the first leaves will fall off and then the tomato will grow up. So I've just literally put them in the tray ready to go back up to the house. They're going back inside, put them a little bit of water, and already they've absorbed that first water. So you can see they're lower in the pot now, and I think they'll grow up more sturdy from there onwards. The reason why they get leggy is at this time of the year there's not enough daylight really for them. So what they'll do is fight for light, and they do that by going leggy. But I'm hoping they'll be good tomatoes later in the year, and you can watch the progress of these because you've seen me planting them. That was on the first video where I did the planting. I'll show you how they get on over the coming weeks. You probably saw me doing some other work with them, and now they're at this stage, and you can watch these all the way through, and at some point in the near future I'll be planting my main crop tomatoes, which this year will be Moneymaker, plus some others, and I can't remember the other varieties, but Moneymaker is definitely the best all-round tomato for me. Make of these is Arts Feur, okay, which is a specialist early tomato. And the other thing of note today, my onion sets and my shallots have arrived, but I will be growing some onions from seeds as well. I have got some other onions that have already germinated in the house, but this is the next lot, and this is exhibition onions, and you would have seen me planting the early exhibition onions recently. And as of yet, no movement on the potato I planted 2 weeks ago, and no movement on the carrots that I planted 2 weeks ago. But it has been chilly in the greenhouse, and I'm sure they will germinate. They might just take a little bit longer for that initial germination. And what else am I going to be doing? Soil preparation for raised bed 6. You've seen this before, so I'm not going to record that again. and this time I hope not to fall over like I did in gardening 365 39, because I was still a bit sore for that right into the week. Comfort values, I've got my tea flask here, and I've got my Planet Rock and Later the Football on the radio. And just to show how green we are, the radio is solar powered. Well, I've got rechargeable batteries that have been recharged in the house from the solar panels, but you get me drift. And a nice cup of gardener's tea. Now you may ask, why am I taking soil out of the greenhouse to only replace it with more soil in the near future? And for me, the easiest ways to explain that is by crop rotation. This grew tomatoes last year. I want to grow tomatoes again in this year. So instead of rotating the crops, I'm rotating the soil. Hopefully that made sense. And I'm doing it in the dry, which is nice. Now as I'm going through the soil, obviously I find some nasties in there. So stones are not too bad as long as they're not too big. I've got some roots in there. Now they aren't such a problem unless they are sort of lighter in colour, and that means they've still got life in them, so then they're very dangerous. So just as a precaution, I take everything out. But sometimes I find good things, and I'm going to show you what I found good in there. And that's the biggest naughty I've found so far, a little piece of plastic. That's got to come out, or that will go into the raised bed, break up over the years, and put microparticles into our food. That's an absolute no-no. And straight after finding that last piece of plastic, I found another piece. Only this time it's green. That's coming out as well, of course. And another example of what I don't want. It's a nettle. Roots that will grow back. So taking it out will stop that nettle getting into the raised bed, which can only be a bonus. Now in that small amount of soil, I've already pulled those worms out. And when I say pull them out, they'll all go back into the same mixture at the end, but I'm just separating them so they don't go through the sieving process. If they go through there, it could damage them. I don't want the worms damaged. They're going in raised bed 6. Now that doesn't look that big or significant. What that is a worm egg, I suppose. I don't know what you call it. So that's full of baby worms. So at some point very near in the future, I'll have some more little baby worms, which will be really nice. Who's the daddy? Now if you look halfway down the worm, its skin's a different colour. That shows it's at full maturity and it will start raising young, let's say. I don't know if that's a male, female, or whether they're just male, female hybrids. I don't really know that. But that is a mature worm. And elsewhere you'll see little ones as well. There's a little one. That's not mature yet. Next in, some well-rotted horse muck. You still got to be careful, because there still could be nasties in there. So I'm still going to take the bits out that I don't think should be going in there and take them out, because I don't want any of that growing in raised bed 6. But well-rotted horse muck, superb. Thank you, Kathy and Mark. Now so far, out of those 2 bucketfuls, the one of soil, the one of well-rotted horse muck, I've taken all of that out. Now you might think I'm being fanatical taking all that out, but I've got a horror story, and you're shaped by things that have happened to you in life. I'm not going to tell you the story, but be prepared, it is shocking. Now when we was at our old house in Bayton, one of our neighbours came to us one day and asked us if we'd have a couple of barrelfuls of soil off them. And we said yes, we'd have it, chuck it in our garden. Anyway, left it there. In less than a week, I went back down to our garden and I could see ground elder growing. If you don't know what ground elder is, it's a horrible weed that's very, very invasive. And luckily we was moving at that point. We went back down, let's say a month, 2 months later, and the whole garden was covered in ground elder. And you can pull it out, but because it's got such a strong root structure, will grow back just as quick. In fact, it grows back quicker. You put weed killer on and it will kill some bits, but there's always bits there that it won't kill. It's a horrible weed. Now, I'm not suggesting for one moment anything I've done's got ground elder in, but you've got to be so careful with things like that. If you've got ground elder in your garden, feel feel sorry for you. It's the worst weed of all that I've ever encountered, and I've encountered most, especially during the time I've spent being a gardener. So just be careful. So I've got my second layer now, a lot darker than the soil and a little bit drier. So what I'm going to do is give that a bit of a mix, and then I'm going to start the third layer. Now here's the 5 bags of chip that we collected after having our hedge cut last year. There is another bag that's out of view at the moment. And I'm going to have a little dig in there. You can see I've already had a little dig. I'm going to see what it's like. Okay, but this is just pure wood chip. Didn't want to stay outside too long filming, so I brought it in. That's what it looks like. It doesn't look a lot. And in that, I hope there's a lot of decomposed wood chip. And it's that I'm looking for, the bit that will go through the sieve. And the bits that won't go through the sieve, just throw that back into this year's compost. But the bits that will go through are going to go into this year's soil. And time to change from Planet Rock to
It's got over the line.
the football.
It's got in there. It has. It's been given, has it?
And now a little bit of garden compost as well. I haven't got a lot in actually, and I'm not going to go outside today because it's, as you know, hammering it down. So I'll just use that little bit. And that's it for today. It's rained all day. I've been inside keeping myself dry in the greenhouse. Done quite a bit, I think, really. Maybe one more day and I'll finish the soil for raised bed 6. Okay, but going in now. Bye. Morning. Well, it's Sunday morning, so I'm just gonna have a look around the garden. I haven't had a bit of a garden walk for a while, so I'm just gonna sort of have a look what's been happening. Just seeing this little barrel outside the house, and I'm gonna have a little bit of a closer look. So we can see whatever these bulbs are, I can't remember, are starting to shoot. So spring is on its way, and that's great. A little bunch of snowdrops, and they're not the only ones, because we've got an area where there's lots of snowdrops. Some of them have got sticks in them, and the reason why, we need to identify where those sticks are, because some of those are going to have to be moved as soon as they finish this year. Lots of daffodils everywhere, and we seem to have 2 waves of daffodils. We have the earlies, which these are, and then some ones that come a little bit afterwards. But we have lots of daffodils up at this part of the garden. I'm in the wildlife area now, and just gonna have a look around here, see if there's any activity down here. First of all, some absolutely gorgeous crocuses, purple ones. Don't they look great? And on the top part, there's the splash pond that we made last year, leading into the wildlife pond itself. They're looking a bit stirred up at the moment. That's obviously from the rain that we've had recently. Gonna have a look around what's going on. And the snowdrops down here as well, and I've just seen something that's great, and it shows you the season we're in. We've got some early frog spawn. There'll be loads more than this. That's quite early for frog spawn. I haven't got much more than what we're showing you, but their pond will just be absolutely consumed with frog spawn shortly. And this is my absolute favourite, a Dwarf Iris. Absolutely stunning. The beauty around at this time of the year, incredible. And the splash pond itself is looking, well, I think superb. And just waiting for the sun to come out. It needs to come out strong, and those panels will power the pump, and we have our own little soak away waterfall. Stunning. And that area there is where we have all of our wildflowers come out, and also that area is set aside for another little project this year that I'm hoping we're going to get something that's going to go in there. More to be revealed shortly. And just out of the wildlife area now, on what we call Crocus Hill, and as you can see why it's called Crocus Hill, there's some absolute beauties here. Not just purples, we've got some yellow ones as well, looking stunning. And in between the crocuses we've got some snowdrops as well. There's more over there, and right over the side, daffodils. Now this looks stunning when it all comes out, but the camera never really quite captures it the way it looks, because it is, as I say, stunning. In the greenhouse now, and overnight 4.9. Don't really want it to go much below 5, so I'm okay with that. But now inside we're at a nearly tropical 13 degrees. Wow, it's the hottest it's been in here for a long time. Okay, so I might even get my coat off. Now, I'm back on soil prep again today, but for a different reason today. I want to put some more early potatoes in, And Claire's had some tulips for Christmas, so it is a bit late, but we're going to put those in today, and that will be with soil that I've prepared. And I'm going to do it exactly the same way as I've done previously. This is the barrel we're going to use for the tulips. Now, it was the barrel that was previously used for the fish pond, but it sprung a leak, so it does leak. So what I'm going to do now for tulips is put some holes in the bottom for drainage. Holes in now, and it's ready to start filling up. Now, you could say I've upcycled it, but reality is I've downcycled it, because now it can no longer be used for fish ponds or anything like that. So I don't like those terms. I have repurposed this barrel, and that sounds much better now. Repurposed. A hole in my bucket, dear Liza, dear Liza. There's a hole in my bucket, dear Liza, dear Liza. Then repurpose it, dear Nigel, dear Nigel. Then repurpose it, dear... Well, you get the idea. So I've got to repurpose that bucket. What can I use it for? I know. I get the idea now. I know what you're doing. Now that's the second of my potted potatoes. And what I'm going to do is plant them every 2 weeks up till I put my very first earlies in the ground, which will be in March. And if I can do that, then I should have a nice constant flow of new potatoes, leading right up to the earlies that I dig out the garden, into the mids, and maybe even a few lates. That's the idea. Keep the crop growing in succession. And Claire's put some rubble now in the bottom of the barrel, so I'm going to start filling it up with soil. And for those that have been watching, that's what my raised bed looks like now. So probably got another cover up, a couple of barrel loads, and then it's full. It is really wet at the moment, so I'm probably not going to finish it this weekend. So 2 lots of tulips going in. They look quite different, so we'll try and mix them up to give that random look. They are. So we've got 10 flashback, and we've got 20 Lady Dane. We got these from a company called Farmer Gracie. We found them off Facebook. We're hoping they're pretty good actually, because they are reasonable priced. All in now, and we're just going to cover them up with some compost. Now, you are supposed to plant these in autumn, we're aware of that, but we've not long had them, so we're planting them now in spring. Hopefully they'll all grow. I have struggled this weekend because everything, all the soil and compost has been so wet. So what I'm going to do next half hour, I'm going to get some stuff into the greenhouse to dry out, ready for next weekend, and then at least I've got a chance. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next half hour or an hour or so. So what have I done on my tidy up? I've got all that full of horse muck in. I broke it down a little bit, and I'll leave that now in the greenhouse to dry. So I'll pre-process in that during the week. So that's inside now, drying out. I've got 2 paddling pools full of garden compost. Don't ask why I kept paddling pools, it's a long story. And I've got one of wood chip drying out. So it'll all dry out during the week in the greenhouse, better than being outside in the wet, and it'll be warmer in here as well, so I can process, as I say. Now I'm going to put this one on Facebook, and the question is this an early lettuce or a late lettuce? Now it has been planted for some time, but is it an early or a late? And I'll try and get the results to you as soon as possible with what you think. Early or late lettuce, that's the question. The Calabrese is looking bigger each week, but it's still not quite ready for that Sunday dinner yet. The seeds I planted in trays a couple of weeks ago are really made an appearance yet. Oh, I can see some lettuce coming through, so I'll take that back. This year's lettuce are coming through. Correction. So we have got growth this year. Perfect. And even so, it's really wet outside. I'm just going to spray these a little bit just to dampen them down just slightly. And this is just pure water. Nothing fancy. Well, that concludes this episode of Gardening 365. And it was Garden 36540. Okay, what have we achieved this weekend? All but finished the raised bed now, which is great. Obviously got the tulips in, that was nice. Got some more potatoes in. Repotted the tomatoes. And done quite a lot of soil preparation. Now that's to make our soil as good as possible. So just like Yvonne put on that Facebook post, if you saw it, about soil and soil quality, I'm trying to get our soil quality as good as possible so we can grow veg all the year round and grow good veg as well. My onions have arrived, they're just up here. I think I showed you them earlier in the video. And I'm hoping very soon my potatoes arrive. I've got two sorts, some first earlies and then some second earlies. The one's Casablanca and the other's Vivaldi. I'll be holding them back, chitting them, getting ready for planting in March as well. So as I say, that concludes this episode of Gardening 365. Keep inviting your friends to Facebook, please do, we're over 900. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, the little button's down here. And thank you for watching, see you next time, bye.